Ben Shapiro is a racist piece of shit. Do I have your attention yet? If you've already decided that he isn't, if you've already made up your mind that I'm about to accuse him of being racist, to shout down his point of view, or to silence him, and you've decided this without even hearing my case, this video is for you. This video is about that assumption. But before we get to that, let's talk about Ben for a minute, because big boy Ben Shapiro is a racist. Here's a racist thing that he said. He's saying all people of one race like to live in sewage. That's racist. It's what we in the biz call a racism. He later realizes that that sounded racist and clarifies it to say that he didn't mean all Arabs, obviously, just Palestinians. It's racist to make assumptions about people, especially negative and dehumanizing assumptions, based on their race. That's what the word racist means. It means that. That's just a fact. And facts, as Ben well knows, do not care about your feelings. Now, I'm not calling Ben a racist because I want to silence him, although it would be nice if he shut up for a change. I'm not calling Ben a racist because I disagree with him, though to be clear, I definitely do disagree with him. I'm calling him a racist based on the very racist thing that he said, and later clarified that he definitely still believed. Do you like Ben Shapiro? Do you feel a little offended that I'm being mean to him? I understand that. I don't think that just because you like someone that said some racist stuff, that makes you a racist. But if you're defending Ben's tweet, I don't know what to tell you. There's this idea that people are running amok with accusations of racism, that the word doesn't mean anything anymore. It's just a buzzword thrown around to discredit people. Like the boy who cried wolf, this once powerful and meaningful term has lost its cultural cachet through overuse. Now, I'm not going to deny that things which are relatively benign get called racist sometimes. I'm sure there are all sorts of well-meaning people who make accusations of racism that don't stand up to scrutiny. I get that. It happens. No one can deny that. But things really are racist sometimes, and we need to be able to call it out when we see it. And sometimes, the idea that everyone gets called racist nowadays is used to defend genuinely racist behavior. It's a convenient dodge because you're not actually defending a racist position, but rather defending the person who made it from the perceived stigma they would suffer from being labeled a racist forever. Now see, I'm in a pickle. I want to defend my pal Ben Shapiro from being called a racist by people on the internet with, like, fucking 6,000 subscribers, who cares? But I can't defend the idea that Arabs like to live in sewage, because doing so is going to make me look like just as much of a racist as he does right now. Instead, I can paint the entirely reasonable claim that his tweet is racist as an attempt to smear him. Everything is called racist nowadays, therefore we can't take any accusations of racism at face value. It's an attack. It's a hit job. They're out to get him. See how easy that is? And I do want Ben Shapiro to shut up. Everyone does. I want his shitty face to stop making noises from his mouth, or as I call it, his racism hole. Every single time Ben Shapiro opens his racism hole and doesn't immediately fill it with chicken nuggets, the world is made a slightly worse place. It's not that I want him to shut up and therefore he is a racist. It's that he's racist, and therefore I would like him to shut up, please. I don't like racism. I don't want to hear racist opinions. And also, you know, because consistent racist dehumanization inspires violence against the groups that it targets, which is something Ben might want to consider. Ben, maybe consider that, Ben. Ben. But, just because I want Shapiro to shut up, that doesn't mean that calling him racist will shut him up. Donald Trump gets called racist almost every single time he says something horribly racist. And he will never ever shut up. We will hear every word he ever thinks, blasted from every platform in the world from now until the end of linear time. Because we live in hell, and we deserve to live in hell. Likewise, I get called anti-white all the dang time for saying things like fascism is bad. It doesn't shut me down. It makes me more powerful every day. Even now my power grows. Literally no one I have ever called racist has proceeded to shut up. In my experience, calling someone racist is the #1 way to guarantee that they say a bunch of words to you. Calling someone racist isn't an attack on their free speech. There are no laws saying that you should be free from the judgment you receive for your opinions. And while I'm sure there are lots of people unfairly being called racist, I think it's pretty clear that a lot of people use this narrative to brush off criticism of legit-ass racism. It's the knee-jerk reaction to anyone who even mentions racism. And you know who friggin' love that? racists. It's perfect cover for them. You can defend anything, no matter how blatantly racist, by just accusing the people who point it out of having some sort of agenda. The standard of evidence required to prove something is racist is absurdly high. We routinely get arguments from people saying things like the Confederacy weren't racist, or apartheid.
The population of blacks under apartheid tripled. The population of the native black population did not exactly triple under the Bantus. So the fact that a culture moves in with superior technology and wins? Yeah, it happens. That's called history. Deal with it. Here's the big problem in sub-Saharan Africa. You have an average IQ of about 70 to 75.
Or literal ethnic cleansing. Oh hey, speaking of ethnic cleansing, here's Richard Spencer saying that racist is a fake word, whatever that means. And here's his genius reasoning to explain that position.
The word racist is a fake word. No one identifies with the word racist.
Do you feel that
it's
white
basically
people are
a word,
superior?
it's a way of trying to shut down speech.
Do you feel that white people are superior? Do you think that you are better than I am?
There's no ultimate object.
Are you better than me?
So nobody can be racist because nobody self-identifies with the term racist? Okay, this is sound logic. Nobody self-identifies as smelly either, but I have been on the bus, sir, and I can assure you, some people, much like your ideology, stink. Oh, and here's you, Richard Spencer, self-identifying as a racist, so there's that. I like this example because it cuts to the core of a pretty common misconception about racism. The idea that a lot of people seem to have is that racism needs to be willful and malicious. It has to be a conscious hatred of a visible race of people, a feeling that you're aware of and choose to act on. And lots of racism is definitely that. The KKK, for example, neo-Nazis, the alt-right, they know they don't like other races, and knowing that informs their behavior. These are the types of people who pop into your head when I say the word racist. And who would want to be compared to those dicks? But some racism is hidden on purpose, by people who know they'd get in trouble if they expressed their true feelings out loud. Here's a very famous quote from Republican political strategist Lee Atwater, where he describes how this type of covert racism functions.
You start out in 1954 by saying n***. By 1968 you can't say that hurts you, backfires, so you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights and all that stuff. And you're getting so abstract now, you're talking about cutting taxes and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites.
Gross. That's so gross. That's an explicit racist explaining to you how he couches his language in boring-sounding side issues to distract you from his racist agenda. Because racists do that. That's why you can't really trust somebody when they say they're not racist, because, I mean, of course you're going to say that. And just to get it out of the way, I'm not saying all Republicans are racist. I'm not even saying that all Republicans who vote for racist policy are willful racists. What I'm saying is that racism can be disguised to fly beneath the radar and sound very reasonable to normal people. And yeah, for the record, the Democrats do it too. Much less, in my opinion, but sure, they do it. I'm not an American. I don't have a horse in this race. The Democrats do it too. What do you want from me? But it actually gets worse than that, because someone can be racist without even knowing it themselves. Racism can be entirely subconscious, and you can do or think something racist without even knowing it. You might even hate racism. You might think racism is the most evil thing in the world and still have subconscious biases that you're not even aware of. Does that sound far-fetched to you? Well, let's try an experiment. Close your eyes and picture something for me. I'm going to say a word that describes someone, and I want you to picture that person in your head. Don't think of a specific person, just think of the type of person I'm describing. Ready? The word is terrorist. Open your eyes. Did you picture someone who looked like this? Because that's the first Google image result for the word Arab. Now maybe you were trying to outsmart me and tried to consciously avoid thinking about an Arab because you saw this example coming. But even if you did that, you still associated Arabs with terrorists and made that connection. You still knew that stigma existed, and it's where your mind went first. Does that make you a racist? Oh, I'm not going to speculate on that. But what it doesn't make you, necessarily, is a bad person. The thing is, everyone has these subconscious prejudices. Not like that exact same one, but everyone has some. You can't go through life with all sorts of racist messaging being blasted at you without accumulating some latent biases. If you think that you personally can, then you're probably the most susceptible type of person to this type of messaging. I think, broadly speaking, we have made it more difficult for people to be overtly racist. And because of that, our priorities are shifting to more insidious and difficult to recognize forms of racism that we may have been willing to let go in the past. Maybe stereotypical characters like Apu didn't seem like a big deal in the 90s, but that was then, and this is now. Maybe the people who that character was hurting didn't feel like they could speak up at the time. Maybe they're speaking up now because they're encouraged by a society that, at least superficially, is making an effort to be more accommodating and understanding. The truth is, everyone has racist assumptions sometimes. If someone says you're doing something racist, they're not saying you're a racist, that you're a bad person, that you're evil. The thing that decides whether or not you're a racist person is how you confront those assumptions. It's whether you're willing to face the ugliness inside yourself and try to be a better person. Ben Shapiro isn't willing to do that. Richard Spencer sure as hell isn't willing to do that. I hope that I'm willing to do that. Are you?
Oh, fiddle-dee-dee, I went and did a very serious ending to this video, and now I've got to read some silly names. Big ups to my Patreons this May. We've got Ryan William Cox, J-Bugs III, Michael Hollenbach, Nicole the Anarchoduck, Matthew, Julian Colin, some random leftist, Jane, Pregnant Seinfeld, Patrick M., Jacob A. Berkowitz, Mia Nakano, Neil's a Build Card, Mike Yocom, Elusia S., Ree Carter, Brett Dibble, Thorne Melcher, Matt Brighton, and Live Static. But mad special thanks to Queen Maxine, Chuds McKenzie, Jordan Hoxie, Siobhan O'Leary, Jan Anders Bremer, Aaron B., Actual Spook, Dash of Week, and Cole Bean Mani. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. Hey, if you want your name to be in the names and you want to be a little cartoon or whatever, then give me some money. Give me some fucking money. Hey, press the like and subscribe button on youtube.com. I'm Thought Slime. Goodbye!